Hello, and thank you for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. The candidates in the race for the Democratic presidential nomination are beginning to work towards Super Tuesday. 14 states will hold their nominating contests on March 3rd, and the results will determine more than a third of the Democratic delegates in the presidential race. Texas is one of Super Tuesday's big prizes, and that has the top candidates investing in the Lone Star State. On Thursday, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders opened a campaign office in East Austin. It's one of 5 offices Sanders opened in Texas this week. The campaign says it has 10 paid staffers on the ground in Texas already, and volunteers have held more than 600 campaign events here. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is here already, too. Her campaign has 4 offices in Texas, including Austin. More than 24 staffers and organizers are rallying Texans for her candidacy. And then there's Mike Bloomberg, the former New York City mayor. He's betting big on Super Tuesday, skipping the first few states to vote. He opened a campaign office in Houston on Thursday. It's one of 19 field offices planned in Texas. 2 of them are planned in Austin. California businessman Tom Steyer also opened an office in Houston on Thursday. It's the first of several in Texas. All this activity shows the candidates are ready to spend a lot of money in the state. Bloomberg has invested millions of dollars in TV ads airing across Texas. Sanders' campaign is spending $5.5 million for ads in Texas and other Super Tuesday states. That means Texas will be importing, not exporting, campaign cash.
In recent history, what we had seen is nationally people not being interested in Texas, not coming here to campaign in a presidential primary, not having offices, and asking Texas to send their money outside to other states where these folks were campaigning.
Mayor Pete Buttigieg also has support here. Austin Mayor Steve Adler is a close friend and introduced him at his campaign kickoff event. His campaign will have 24 paid staffers working in the state ahead of Super Tuesday. Early voting begins Tuesday in the primary, and we're getting a new picture of how Texas voters feel about the candidates. For insight, we're joined by Jim Henson of the Texas Politics Project at the University of Texas. Welcome.
Good to be here.
So your group just released a new primary poll. First off, tell us a little bit about the poll. Who did you reach out to, and when did this all happen?
Sure. This is 1,200 self-declared registered Texans. We were in the field from January 31st to February 10th. Margin of error is about 2.83 for the overall results.
Who is on top of the poll? Did the results in Iowa and New Hampshire really change anything?
Well, you know, timing is one of the things about polls. What we got was a glimpse of what we've seen nationwide. Bernie Sanders at 24%, Biden at 22%, followed by Elizabeth Warren at 15%. And then interestingly enough, when we talk about this, Michael Bloomberg at 10%. We were in the field as Iowa was in the first part of the data collection period, and then New Hampshire happened right after we went out. At this time of year, no matter when you go in, you're in the middle of something.
Yeah. So you did mention Michael Bloomberg. He spent millions to run ads here in Texas. Is that making an impression on voters?
You know, I would say you'd have to feel like it worked. I mean, Bloomberg has not been on any of the debates. He's not a Texas figure, and yet he's entered the polling in high single digits running up to this. And to my knowledge, this is about the highest he's hit in Texas. So he's on an upswing, and you know, he's got unlimited amounts of money, and it's an interesting illustration from a kind of somewhat academic but almost also a practical sense of what money can get you.
Of course, during this whole time frame also we had the impeachment kind of wrapping up. How did that change the political landscape when we're talking about this?
Well, you know, it's funny, we've got a whole raft of numbers in which we asked about how people thought Trump handled it, how Democrats in Congress handled it, how Republicans in Congress handled it. We asked the same raft of questions in October of 2019, and virtually nothing changed. So overall approval ratings for the president, for Republicans, for Democrats are relatively low in terms of how they handled it, but it sorts out very much along on partisan lines. Democrats are more happy with how the Democrats in Congress handled it. Republicans happier with how the Republicans handled it. Republicans relatively happy with how Trump handled it. Democrats deeply opposed to the president. That runs throughout this poll, and so I think the interesting thing is, for all that we've talked about what a historic process this is, for all the media attention it got, it changed very few minds. If anything, partisan views basically deepened in their negativity towards the president if you're a Democrat, and their support for the president if you're a Republican.
So you asked some hypothetical questions about matchups, one-on-one matchups. You know, who really came out ahead, or did anyone, when it came to going up against President Trump?
Well, you know, as one would expect in Texas, you know, President Trump was ahead of everybody from a range of between 2 and about 5 points. Glass half full, glass half empty. On one hand, the president is leading every Democratic candidate that we've matched him up against. On the other hand, in a state where you assume that Republicans should have, depending on who you ask, a 7 to 8 point advantage, maybe even more. You know, if you go back to the 2018 election where the governor won by about 14 points, Ted Cruz won by only about 2.5 points. Right now, the president is probably closer to that Ted Cruz level than he is the Governor Abbott level, which suggests just how divisive and that there are some doubts about him.
All right. Well, we got a couple of weeks left, so we'll see anything can happen.
Early voting starts Tuesday.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.